I'm Hannah Wallace and welcome to Finextra TV. Kindly calling into our virtual studio now to talk about surfing the wave of next generation retail banking is Mary Connor, Director of Product Management for Finastra. So Mary, welcome to our studio. It's good to have you on.
Yeah, and lovely to see you too, and thank you very much for inviting me to do this.
No problem at all. It's great to have you on. So yes, this is an interesting topic because we spent a large chunk of 2020 talking about the impact of the pandemic on the banking space. And now that there's perhaps a light at the end of the tunnel, it seems, it's maybe a good time to reflect on the lessons learned. So off the back of that, could you maybe highlight some of the areas you think are in need of change, maybe some of the drivers behind that change and what you think is going to be at the top of those agendas moving forward? Let's start there.
Right, okay. Well, I think that financial institutions generally have been overripe for change for quite some time. And what this pandemic has done has pressed the fast forward button. It's accelerated the need for change. Part of that is to do with home working, where there's, they've had fragmented processes. Trying to manage those remotely frankly, it's a bit of a nightmare. And the other aspect of it is that the investment they need to make in digital capabilities, to create that digital engagement experience for their end consumers. And there's another aspect to this is the end-to-end connectivity. So many financial institutions have disconnected processes. A lot of, and this will resonate, I'm sure, with many of them, swivel chair integration, really that they should have abandoned quite a long time ago. And now pandemic has come, a bit more time to reflect on things in some respects, but also just really putting a microscopic lens on the need to do something about these capabilities. And I think the reason they will do it is because if they don't do it, they will become irrelevant to their end consumers. And also, I think that increasingly the regulators are becoming more intolerant of operational risk exposures.
Mm-hmm. So taking all of that into account, then what do you think are the key ingredients for next generation core banking going ahead?
Okay, so there's a variety of things, and in a way this has the topics have grown, particularly I would say the last 2 years, and here's why. Over the last 2 years, the demand for cloud banking has risen exponentially. I don't think anybody expected it to rise so quickly. So if you cast your mind back 5-6 years ago, we had the ad hoc inquiry about that. Now it's every single prospect or client is inquiring about cloud. So that's definitely one ingredient in it all. Analytics, I also know from personal experience looking at the investor relations sites of banks and financial institutions, because that's the sad sort of person I am. I do look at them and see what their KPIs are. And for a number of years now, they've all been focused on having greater analytics capability, because with that insight, they can see what their end users, what their target markets want and need. Okay, so analytics, definitely. APIs, APIs is just essential. Having APIs gives you an open system, and you need a complete suite of APIs. This is what we're doing at Finastra with Fusion Essence. We have a solution with a complete suite of APIs that gives you that connectivity and ease of integration. Ease of integration means less cost and also a more predictable integration experience, but also ease of integration into other fintech apps. And that brings me to the fourth point, which is having a platform that has an array of fintech applications that banks or other financial institutions, and I say other financial institutions because they could be building societies, credit unions, whatever, that they can tap into and consume that innovation at ease. And last, but certainly not least, the end-to-end digital capabilities. So historically, when we said digital, people thought of mobile and internet, but it's much, much more than that. It's the whole end-to-end, straight-through processing experience, right to when money comes in the door, it goes out the door.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's interesting. And I think it's safe to say AI and machine learning is going to have a big part to play moving forward. So let's talk a bit more about that. What role do you think it will play, and how will it be used, and also where will it be used?
Well, yeah, this is definitely on the rise, particularly a bit like cloud in the last 2 years. We see more and more the use cases of artificial intelligence and machine learning. And I think that's only going to spread further afield. So it has started really in the world of analytics. So being able to have things like a common data model and combine data from external systems with your own core banking data to give those predictive and prescriptive analytics and insights into your business. Yeah. So it started with that, but actually now it's spread, and it's spread into the world of reg tech, regulatory technology. So we particularly see it in the areas of payment fraud and anti-money laundering. So what does that mean for banks? So it gives them a far more efficient model. It gives them a far more accurate model. So if I think back to a project I was involved in about 10 years ago when we were setting up the anti-money laundering capability, it was based on a matrices. It was a manual database that had to be updated. With AI and ML, this is just taking it to a new level. It automatically updates. You feed it the initial volume of data, and then thereafter, it builds on that data model. So giving you far greater accuracy. So they're the immediate ones I think of, but I see it spreading beyond that, and we're already seeing it in the area of digital, mobile and internet, where it's going to be used with digital capabilities at the front end.
Sure. Watch this space, I think it's safe to say.
Yes,
so of course there are things holding businesses back from changing, maybe the fear of change even. So summarising what we've said so far, it'd be great to get your advice for the year ahead, seeing that now is by the sounds of it, certainly the optimal time to ride this wave of next generation banking. So let's end on your advice.
So absolutely, now is the hour. And like I said at the beginning, financial institutions have been ripe for change for quite some time, and COVID is just now accelerating what they really have needed to tackle for some time. And mainly the reason is fear of change. Yeah, transformation is a big thing. I think for the challenger banks coming to market, it's an easier gig because they're, starting with a clean sheet, and they can embrace all the new technologies without worrying about their legacy estate. So let's just focus on the established institutions who've got the, I suppose, bigger challenge, but then they've got the bigger client base. So, it's the sweet with the sour. So I would say to all of them, start preparing. Preparation, it's all in the preparation. We worked with a bank on a Fusion Essence transformation, a big transformation in APAC. And the amount of preparation that went into that project was impressive. But what it meant was when they actually formally started the project, they were foot forward and they were very confident. They knew exactly what they had and where they were going to. So I can't emphasize that enough. And it doesn't mean, preparation doesn't necessarily have to involve the likes of Finastra or any other software vendor. There's lots of things that banks can be doing to take stock of where they are, what they have, and what they want to lay off as they go through a transformation project. And then for the project itself, planning. So it's the age-old story: preparation, and planning. And planning your project, understanding, what you think the length of it will be, what resources you need. So thinking about all the things and what you want to get out of it. What is success of this project going to look like? And I would, from my experience in this business, is that do not let your project go on for too long. you get project fatigue and people phase out of it, and then you run the risk of a less successful project. So my final shot at this is fortune favors the brave. And actually, in today's world, you don't need to be that brave, because you've got vendors like us who've got a huge amount of experience, who are doing transformations day in, not quite day in, day out, but, but certainly on a weekly basis, we are helping banks transform. So, and also the technologies are more mature now. So it's actually a better place if you're going to start transforming. So I would say just go for it, but remember preparation and planning.
Preparation and fortune favours the brave. So Mary, some really good advice to end on there. And thank you so much for calling in and sharing your insights today. It's been a pleasure. So thank you.
And it's been lovely speaking to you too. And thank you very much for inviting me.